Yo, what's cracking? Andek here with another video, and today we're diving deep into NFTs. Are they the future of the music industry, or are they just another fad? So firstly, we've got to define what an NFT is. An NFT is a non-fungible token. And essentially what that means is that each token is completely individualized or independent, whereby you can't transfer one NFT for another NFT. They're not mutually exchangeable. Unlike you'd be able to transfer one Bitcoin for another Bitcoin or give one $5 note for another $5 note, you can't do the same with NFTs. One way to help you understand what an NFT is if we use the example of the Mona Lisa. Anyone, in theory, can go and take a photo of the Mona Lisa and show their friends and say, hey, I own the Mona Lisa, here's a photo of the Mona Lisa. However, we all know that the Mona Lisa is sitting in a museum and there is only one owner of the Mona Lisa. To put that into a digital context, which is where NFTs come in, if there was a virtual Mona Lisa, you would be able to prove that you were the true owner of that Mona Lisa by showing your NFT code. Even though people could screenshot the virtual Mona Lisa and pretend like they owned it, they would not be able to prove that they really and truly own that piece of artwork. However, you can with your NFT code. So you're probably thinking at this point, how does this all relate to the music industry? Well, there's been a couple major examples of artists, musicians, rappers, producers using NFTs and making quite substantial amounts of money out of the platform. The first example is Grammy-winning producer Illmind. Illmind recently auctioned off an NFT and he, in return, received 6,000 USD for that NFT. The NFT that he auctioned off was a one of one, which means that there was only one NFT sold for that piece of work. And the work that he sold, which was attached to the NFT, was a sample/melody pack. In that NFT, he expressly gave the rights to use those samples to the purchaser of that NFT. What is so remarkable about this is that by Illmind selling the sample pack, the new purchaser of that pack can prove that they own those samples through history that is backed by blockchain technology. However, the question to consider is whether or not this is viable. From a legal perspective, there's potential problems with using the samples that the purchaser has just purchased through this NFT. So if the purchaser of Illmind's NFT decides to use those samples in their own production, they have, under that NFT, the exclusive right to do that. So they're completely allowed to use those samples in a production. However, the legal issue will potentially come if they then later decide to sell that NFT on the secondary marketplace. If exclusive rights to use those samples are attached to that NFT, then technically the artist that originally bought that NFT is illegally using samples because they no longer have the right to use those samples in the track. And the next purchaser of that NFT could potentially go after the first purchaser for using samples that they do not currently own. The only way that you'd be able to get around this is by having a non-exclusive license to use the samples within that NFT. And that's what's happening here. Illmind's NFT is essentially giving the purchaser the right to release commercially the samples within that NFT. So what that means is that they are royalty free and there's a contract included within that NFT that allows the release of those samples. The issue with that is that the NFT purchaser along the way could potentially just give out the samples to everyone and grant them the same exact license, which would essentially destroy the exclusivity of the NFT and render the samples worthless. If everyone can use them, then what's the point of having an NFT showing the true owner of those samples? Accordingly, I'm super excited to see the legal sphere around samples develop to incorporate NFTs and see where the sphere goes in regards to contracting within an NFT so that the purchaser is able to continue their rights or maybe potentially exclusively use those rights and maintain their exclusive rights even after selling that NFT. However, everything is still quite early and we are not sure how this is going to work, but it is exciting to see that artists are branching out and trying new things. Another artist that is using this revolutionary technology is Blau. Blau is a DJ producer that has been toying in the crypto market for years. To commemorate the 3-year release of Blau's album Ultraviolet, he has released an NFT of the album art. In releasing his NFT, Blau was able to accrue over $11.7 million. Now that is one big bag. And the top bidder, aka number one of 33 bidders, bid in excess of $3.6 million. Not a bad little profit for an NFT.
Here in my garage, just bought Hollywood Hills. But you know what I like a lot more than the Hollywood Hills? This new Lamborghini here.
The top bidder of Blau's NFT release won the right to have a collaboration with Blau that will be released at a later date. Each NFT released by Blau was redeemable for a special edition physical vinyl, unreleased music, and unique experiences. So depending on your place in the 1 of 33 bid, you received different perks as a result of purchasing Blau's NFT. The interesting thing with the NFT that Blau released, and many NFTs that are being released right now, is there's no inherent value in the purchase. As in, you don't receive, for the most part, a physical item or some sort of revenue or royalty from purchasing. It's not like it's a direct investment and you receive something in return. It's more so comparable to purchasing a piece of art in the hope that it will appreciate over the value that you have purchased it. So like Blau's NFTs and the NFTs across the marketplace that are being sold, you can resell those NFTs on the marketplace. There are many examples of people like Beeble, famous on Instagram for uploading a different piece of art every day, that are selling NFTs for a very cheap price, and then they're being resold for a ridiculous price on the secondary market. So are NFTs the future or simply just a fad? Well, in my humble opinion, I believe there is definitely a legitimate market for NFTs and they can potentially take over the music industry. However, at this current time, I don't think there's enough infrastructure in place to support the futuristic development of NFTs. Specifically, there have been artists that have tried to give away publishing rights or royalties for songs whereby this NFT that they're releasing is associated with this song, and by purchasing that NFT, you're getting this % of royalty of that song. Whilst that works in theory, I can't see how, from an accounting perspective, the artist will be able to accurately distribute the revenue royalties for each song to the NFT owner, as the NFT can be sold unlimited amount of times on a secondary market. So if a purchaser purchased an NFT one day and then sold it a week later, does that mean that they are entitled to the revenues for that week? And if so, then the accounting for that is going to be a ridiculous burden on the artist and the artist management team to consistently pay out royalties, as big platforms like Spotify may only pay out every 3 months. So you'd have to be then essentially counting back and then adjusting each revenue for specific days and then distributing it to unlimited amount of owners. And the other potential issue is that NFT may be traded thousands of times a week or millions of times a year, and that can be an extraordinary burden on an artist or a management team to pay out royalties for that NFT. So how this will work in the future is essentially if there is a direct link between the NFT owner and the streaming platforms or the platforms that are paying the artist the royalties for their song. If there is a direct link between the royalties received and the NFT, then the artist will be able to sit pretty, and the payments from the streaming services and the other methods of accruing revenue from songs will then float directly to the people that own a share in the NFT. And this can be transferable across all rights, whether it be publishing or distribution, or basically any right that's associated with a piece of art, whether that's artwork in the normal sense of the word, like a piece of art like the Mona Lisa, or if that's art in the music sense. So in my humble opinion, yes, I think that NFTs can potentially be the future, but there has to be a few systems in place to ensure that from an accounting perspective and a legal perspective, that the process of releasing NFTs and giving inherent value for that NFT is streamlined to ensure that the end purchaser is getting their right share associated with that NFT. In regards to NFTs having no inherent value, such as pieces of artwork, I think it's more of a fad at this stage where people are jumping on early and trying to resell it because there's a lot of hype about it, but I can't see how a digital asset has the same inherent value as a piece of physical artwork like the Mona Lisa or a Picasso. I don't think that's going to become something that's going to be accepted in the interim or in the future. But for the music industry, yes, I definitely think that NFTs can play a role as long as everything is streamlined and ensured that it is compliant with legislation in each country, because this can potentially be seen as an investment. And each country has different laws on how investments have to be conducted. So if you want to hear more about NFTs, put it in the comments and I'll do more research and we'll get the team on it. Anyway, interested to hear your thoughts in the comments, whether you think it's the future or a fad. Let us know. Until next time, stay humble.
Sit down.
Be humble.